Welcome, everyone. Thanks for being here. We've got 29 viewers, 30 viewers already in our stream. I'm thrilled that you decided to make time for this session today to invest in yourself and your professional development. You're taking time out of your busy schedule, helping students who desperately need your help to be here. And I'm hoping that this brings you a huge return on your investment of time and energy. And Tess, my audio is playing back to me in on a 30-second delay in my ear. I don't know if there's something that you can help or change.
Yeah, so if you have the live presentation on in another screen, you might just have to mute.
Correct. Thank you.
You're welcome.
No, just a second. Yes, you're right. That was it. Thank you for letting me know. Sorry, everyone. There's a couple of things I want to note about the platform. Number one, we've got Tess here that's here to help us with whatever issues we have. So thank you, Tess. Number two, you and I are on a 30-second delay. So throughout this session, I'll be asking you to participate, especially at the end. And just know that I have to wait 30 seconds before I can see what you say. So that's one thing I want you to note. So to get started, would you be willing to practice using our chat, our Q&A, to introduce yourselves? Let's find out who's here. In the chat, in the Q&A function on your page, it should be on the right. Can you please tell share your name and what school you're with? I'd love to know who's here. It's going to give me some energy to keep this session. It's going to allow me to focus in on what's most relevant for you. And I would really appreciate your participation. Thank you. So you're here. We're going to talk about how the world needs students. We're going to talk about picking a mission instead of a major. And I think you will have direct insights that you can use with the students that you serve, that you help immediately after this session. That's my goal. It's an ambitious goal, but I think we can reach it. And thanks ahead of time. Tanya, you were the first to answer from Centennial College. JT, I've got John Crozier from Monash. Welcome. Jolene, who's in Regina. Thanks, everybody. Amy, welcome to the session as well. And I appreciate everyone introducing themselves. And I'm going to start by telling you that you have access to the slides that I'm using in this session. Tess will be sharing those with you in the chat if ever you want to have a takeaway from our time together today. And I'm going to practice my screen sharing right away so that you can follow along directly on the screen instead of clicking through the slides if you so like. Tess, would you mind letting me know verbally if you can correctly see my slide now?
Yep.
If that's possible.
Your slide.
Thank you. So just quickly, my background's in career and leadership development. I studied in a field called industrial organizational psychology. It's the psychology of work. And I got to consult with all types of companies in the private sector and public sector, some of the world's most loved companies, Care Canada, YMCA, some of the world's least loved companies, including huge organizations in energy and commerce. And I learned a lot along the way, and I'm going to share insights with you that can inspire your students. Let's start with a question for you that you can use the chat to answer. If you were to ask your students how many different jobs they know about, what would they say? Did you get that? How many job titles do your students know? Police officer, engineer, doctor, plumber. What's their number? Do they know 5, 10, 20? Let me know in the chat, please. Okay, now, next question. How many job titles are there out there in the world? 500, 1,000, 5,000, 10,000? In my research, I've seen that there are at least 20,000 jobs out there. There are 30,000 listed in the NOC codes, NOC codes, if that's a tool that you use. What's the problem we just identified? There is a tremendous gap between what students know and what's out there. I think you knew this, and that's maybe why you do what you do. What I'd like to highlight is if we make job titles the heart of career development, we're going to run into issues. First of all, there's too many job titles for students to keep track of. There are too many job titles for counselors and advisors to keep track of. We can't memorize the dictionary of job titles that are available, right? Those that our students do know, they tend to focus on prestige, salary, maybe TV characters that they've seen. We also know that job titles are changing. Some don't exist yet. And when I was working with human resources departments, what I learned was that writing job titles and writing job descriptions was increasingly hard to do. Why is that? Well, things are moving so quickly within organizations. So, what if instead of having job titles at the heart of the career conversation, we changed this? We made challenges, problems, and opportunities in the world of work the heart of what we talk about. What do I mean by that? Well, look at these great problems to solve in the world. How can we clean our oceans? How can we promote water rights? How can we celebrate different cultures? These are all important challenges to solve. Maybe you want to work on big global problems. Maybe you want to work on significant local problems. How can we improve our local park? How can we build furniture that lasts? How can we encourage voter participation? There's so many challenges to work on, aren't there? And maybe for yourself, you might want to reflect on the challenge that you'd rather work on. Can you let me know in the chat if you'd rather invent new biotechnology or promote healthy living? Which one? Can you write your answer in the chat? Would you rather work on the challenge of inventing new biotechnology and promote healthy living? I'd love to hear what you have to say. Maybe consider it a vote for one of the challenges because I want to know your preference. Okay, keep the votes coming in, please. Let's do another round. 2 more challenges this time. Would you rather improve mental health or design the future of transportation? Which challenge would you rather work on? Improve mental health or design the future of transportation? Now, this is interesting. Imagine if I was in the same room as you and I got to ask you, why did you pick that challenge? If you're interested, you can go ahead and volunteer and tell me why you picked that challenge in the chat, just as an exercise of making meaning. This is a question that I've asked thousands of students, and listening to why a student chose a challenge is very meaningful. Why? Well, we might their story, their values, their interests, their strengths, their beliefs. Like, this is all the raw material that great counselors and great advisors use in the career development process. And the game that we just played, looking at different challenges and voting, I call this a challenge face-off. And if you'd like, you could do this game tomorrow in a classroom or in a workshop with your students. Well, how do you do that? Well, this kind of looks like the NHL playoffs, kind of looks like a FIFA World Cup tournament or basketball March Madness. You could pose different challenges and brackets against each other and have students vote for their favorite challenges. And at the end, you pick a big winner. And unfortunately, along the way, some students' challenges are going to quote unquote lose and get dropped off or eliminated. Ouch, that hurts. But you could tell them, if you don't choose the challenges you want to work on, someone else will choose for you. Let me say that again, because this tends to shake students to their core. If you don't choose the challenges you want to work on, someone else will choose for you. For example, if you're an aspiring engineer and you graduate from university and you send your resume to 100 different companies, who will hire you? Is it a company that's aligned with your mission, with your values, or is it a company that's doing something completely different, working on a problem that you do not care about? Something to think about. So once students learn this message, they have a new approach to careers. Let me show you the traditional approach to careers. This is what our students are used to. Okay, this is how they think. To explore my career, I'm going to think about my favorite class in high school. If I like math, I might study accounting in university. And then I might do the job of an accountant, work for a company that hires accountants. And then 5 years in or 10 years in, I finally get to see, well, what's the challenge I'm trying to solve as an accountant? Maybe I'm helping companies pay as little amount of tax as possible. Maybe I hate that challenge, or maybe I love it. I don't know, it depends, but it took a long time to get there. What if tomorrow morning you flip this entire model for your students? What if tomorrow morning you started with challenges and then help them work backwards to find which companies are working on that, who works there, and what did they have to learn to be able to do that? Those of you who are in high schools, you can connect this right back to what they're studying in their day-to-day. Oh, I'm learning better communication skills in English so that I can work on the challenge that I care about. Increasing sustainable energy. Wait a minute. Increasing sustainable energy. That takes good communication skills, doesn't it? Oh, yes, here's how. Wow. Now I'm connected with my day-to-day, with where I'm going in my life. And that's inspiring for students. I call this flipping the model. And another word for it is the challenge mindset. So let's bring to life the challenge mindset with a story. This is Anna's story. When I met Anna, she was lost. She had no idea what she wanted to do. I think you've met people like Anna before, right? So all I wanted to do with her is I wanted to shift her from a job title mindset to a challenge mindset. What that means is I don't want her to pick one job title for life. I want her to find challenges and opportunities that exist in the world. To start, I gave her a copy of a magazine called The Economist, and I said, Anna, pick your favorite article. So she picked this article about a special algae that was being used to clean polluted water. Do you see it there? It's green. So from there, we looked at, well, wow, that's an interesting challenge to solve. How can we clean polluted waterways after oil spills? We worked backwards to say, what companies do that? We found them online, Hypertrophic. They're owned by Algal Scientific. Very easily on their website or on LinkedIn, we can find out who actually works there and what did they have to learn to be able to do that. Do you see how we flipped the model there? Once we did, we discovered something called materials science and engineering. Anna had never heard about this. I was her career coach. I had never heard about this. The difference was that I was embarrassed, right? Like, aren't I supposed to be the person who helps here? But it's over. The time of us knowing every opportunity that's available in the world of work, that's over. It's been over for a long time. Instead, Anna and I, we used a challenge mindset to reverse engineer this information. And she loved it, by the way. She looked at, well, what is it like to be an engineer? I can work in industry and consulting, and I can work in academia. And she found special opportunities for women in engineering. And in the short term, this helped her make a great decision. She actually decided to study material science and engineering. This is at Penn State in the US. And she had a decision that was aligned with who she wanted to become. What's more important, though, for Anna is long term, she can change her mind about a new challenge she wants to work on and what she needs to learn to be able to do that. It's a new way of looking at the world for her. So she got real data about the world of work, right? Like cleaning polluted waterways, that's a real issue. She's got a new approach to career exploration. So she's a proactive career self-developer. So I'll give you one more example, then I want to get your thoughts. What if a student wants to make something that matters and use big machines? That's a different challenge, right? Maybe they want to work for Boeing. They look at Boeing and they look at jobs, maybe an aircraft technician. Oh, that really lights them up. And then they find a college program or a skilled trade program that helps them become an aircraft technician or an aircraft mechanic. All right, let's pause here. How would this challenge mindset help the students that you serve? I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And there's a 30-second delay between you and I. So I want to get your thoughts on the chat. I'm going to wait very patiently. The question comes back to you. How would a challenge mindset help the students that you serve? And you know your students way better than I do. What are they like? What are they not like? What would they enjoy about this? What would they find difficult? I'd love to read your thoughts, questions, reflections in the chat. And I'm going to wait to do that actually because there's a bit of a delay and I want to give you a chance to think about it. I know you're here for your professional development, which means you want to get something out of this. So articulating your reactions live, that's going to help you crystallize, what did I get from this? What did I get from this, first 15 minutes of the session on the challenge mindset? So I'm going back in the chat. I'm seeing all your votes here for the challenge mindset face-off. Thank you. I loved it. Thank you. I see an applause button on the screen. I don't know if that's you applauding for me or me applauding for myself, but I'm clicking it. There we go. And I think the delay between the two of us makes our opportunity to interact limited, but I'm still going to read a few things in the chat here. So John writes, it gets them thinking about the problem differently. You're right. This is a different approach. From what I've seen and the schools and colleges and universities that I partner with who use this already, this is different than the traditional approach. Traditional approach is focused on you measure someone, you match them to a job title. It doesn't take into account the full scope of what's available in the world of work. Someone who's anonymous said, it puts student choice and interest first, makes school more personal, relevant, and meaningful. I love that. That's a very good description. It's a great approach to make big problems seems more manageable, digestible. Yes, you break it down into smaller steps. Amy says it gives you purpose. And I think that's useful because there's a big body of evidence that connects purpose with engagement, purpose with well-being, and you want to prepare students for a career with purpose as well. Stacy said it gives them the opportunity to explore career options in their own way. That's good. For example, Stacy, if someone chose improved mental health, there's so many different ways to contribute to that. It's not just psychologists. Okay, so when you say in their own way, Stacy, that's what makes me think about. Someone says it gives them room to think. You bet. It could be a motivational to focus on a single issue that you are passionate about and not include the rest of the stereotypical responsibilities that come along with a job title. Good point. Makes them think about the why and not the what. Great point, Andrew. That's good. Brian, I think this goal-oriented mindset allows students to discover a more fulfilling career. Yes. Annabelle, it gives them goals and makes things more manageable. Easier for students to think about the big step coming up. This is a goal-oriented approach. People are saying goal-oriented. I like it. The language you'll hear me say is the challenge mindset. But goal-oriented, I think, is a fantastic description, and I'm glad that you suggested it. Okay. We have about 6 or 7 minutes left together. I'm going to share a bit of content. I'm going to do a little contest at the end because I want to send you a tool. Those of you who want to try this, I'm going to tell you a way that you can do it yourself tomorrow morning. Those of you who want to try a tool to use it, I'm going to give a contest where I'm going to give away some of these tools for you to try. That's what I'm going to do in 5-6 minutes. And I'm going to try to answer your question. We're going to do so much in 5 minutes. So I'm sharing my screen now. And Tess, would you mind just telling me again, did I get it right? Am I on do my slides look good to you?
Yep, your presentation's all set.
Thank you. I like that you have my back, Tess. Thank you. Okay, so we talked about flipping the model. You've already seen that. What does it look like? I did a whole state intervention in Idaho where we did the whole process, right? We said, okay, well, some of the students in Idaho want to help to grow the food that we need. By the way, Idaho has a huge agricultural reputation, so this was a big plus for them. We found companies working on that. Chobani, McCain, Simplot all have headquarters in Idaho. And then we looked at, well, who works there? Here's what Amanda's doing. Here's what Justin's doing. Here's what Tanya's doing. Justice went straight from high school and got an amazing job there. But for Amanda, it was different. She did a bachelor's and a master's degree. Tanya, she studied plant science. Cool. Reverse engineering. Okay. We're discovering different opportunities. But this is a big change for you. Okay. You probably started working in a world where our job was to help students explore occupations, make one great decision. And success was We've committed this student for the rest of their lives to this one job. That's really the history of our field and career exploration. Even from an academic and theory perspective, decision-making, commitment, that's how we measured success. The world has changed. Your role has changed. You already know it. You live it every day. What if we change to exploring challenges to solve instead of job titles? Students would learn career skills. And like Anna, they were ready to adapt, not locked into one thing for the rest of their lives, but prepared to work on several different challenges. It's a completely new way to prepare students, but it serves them so well. Why? Your students are going to be very old, okay? Average life expectancy is increasing dramatically quickly. Billions are being invested into this. You're not preparing students for 30-year careers. You might be preparing them for 60 or 70-year careers. 60 or 70-year careers. How many times will their career change in 60 or 70 years? We can make up numbers, but I can tell you it's probably not once or twice. It's going to be a lot more than that. They will work on several different challenges. Why not tell them now? Why not tell them tomorrow morning that their career will be full of change? They will have the opportunity to work on several different challenges. Here's what they'll learn if you do this. The world needs you. I think some of your students think the opposite. They think the world doesn't need them. That's why they're disengaged. That's why they're discouraged. That's why they're anxious. But you can quickly show them, look at all these problems to solve. Look at all these ways to make the world better. The world needs you. That gives them hope. And that's what you're good at. You're great at giving them hope. And you can show them everyone can contribute in their own way, small way, big way, this way, left way, right way. If we don't do this, there's an issue in equity, right? If we keep pigeonholing students to job titles, if you ask someone, what do you want to be when you grow up? She's going to reply with what she knew in her family. If you're helping someone from a marginalized community with barriers to access to the world of work, they have an exposure gap. They don't know what's out there. So if we only do interest inventories that ask, tell me what you like based on what you already know, we can't win the equity game. We have to expose students to new, broader opportunities. It's an issue of social justice that I know so many of you care about. I care about it a lot, as you can tell. I invented a tool to help students do that. It's really simple. You've already played it. I show young people challenges to work on through a game called the challenge cards. We have a physical version. We have a digital version. And it's really easy. You just pick stuff you like. Do you like to redesign the healthcare system or end extreme poverty? Do you want to protect society from crime or reverse engineer the brain? And if just as a thank you for showing up today, I'd like to give someone access to this. Do you want to try it? Do you want to play with it? If you don't have access to this tomorrow morning, you can do this on your own using the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. You can use a news article like I used with Anna, pick your favorite magazine. There's so many different ways to find challenges to solve. We've worked with a lot of different colleges, universities, and high schools. 50,000 students have done this. And the title of this session is Mission Before Major, because if you take a challenge to solve and you make it your mission, you can work backwards to find out, well, what do I need to learn? What major can I declare that would help me work on this mission? I think you've already got that, but the University of South Florida did this. They did a career and major expo. They asked 400 students to do the challenge cards. Do you see? She printed hers. She printed her challenges. And so she knew her mission. And then she went to the different majors, the psychology table, sociology table, business table, and she said, listen, how can your major help me contribute to my mission? Did you get that? How can your major help me contribute to my mission? It's a completely different conversation, much more meaningful, engaged than what students are used to doing. The University of Western here in Ontario, they did this with their career fair. They said, okay, first pick the challenges you want to work on, and then go visit the employers on campus who are working on the challenge you cared about. And they organized all the employers. They linked them with a challenge that they were working on. I got so many more stories to tell, but we have 25 minutes together, right? That's a very short amount of time. As a thank you, I'm going to send you this form. And if you want to give me feedback on what you thought about the session today, I'd love to hear what you have to say. Tell me what you liked. Tell me what you didn't like. Tell me like this applies to my students completely. It doesn't apply to my students at all. Tess, I don't know if I'm sending that form correctly. Would you mind sending it to the rest of the group? I would love that, your help with that. And some of you want to continue this conversation. You want to find out more. Some of you want to try this. Some of you are going to do this tomorrow morning. You can email me if you'd like to talk about this more. I can share. We're doing this with 100 different schools already, but we'd like to be in all schools that are looking for a different, more meaningful approach. And if you want to keep the conversation going, I'd love to hear from you. I sent you my email. It's jp@mysparkpath.com. And I'd love to do a Q&A, but I think this is going to kick us out before we get a chance to get the feedback because we're on a 30-second delay. Stacy, was the session recorded? Tess, that's a good question. Tess, I assume it wasn't, correct?
The sessions are actually recorded. You're able to view them later.
Great. So Stacy, it was recorded. You'll forgive me for going way too fast. And you can go back to the session. You've got my slides. You've got my email. I hope you have a great rest of your session. Tess, thank you for your support. It makes a big difference you being here. Thank you for the invitation from School Finder and from Logan. I'm really grateful to get to meet new people. It's one of my favorite things to do. And I hope that those of you who joined the session, we will get to meet in person one day at Connexus or another conference. I'd love to keep this conversation going. Thanks again. Thanks, Tess.